Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston Astros podcast for diehard Houston Astros fan from a diehard Houston Astros fan. I'm the aforementioned diehard. I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker and multi-hyphenate living out here in Los Angeles. I sure don't want to hurt no one. I'm a Houston native and I have the receipts to prove it. I remember when we had a Starbucks across the street from a Starbucks before it was cool, over there in River Oaks, I believe. Oh man, it's been a while, but now I think it was off of Gray. I used to write my comedy plays at one Starbucks, and then I'd pack everything up and go across the street and write all of my drama at the other one. The drama masks. I would cross the street, and I kept them separate. I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in Los Angeles, and now, well, I'm podcasting. That's what happens after you spend at least 8 years in Los Angeles. They give you a podcast. Welcome to it. This is the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. This was born out of my Substack, the Space Cadet Sports blog. It's what my brother calls a Paul Broad Pod Ball blog. Little Arrested Development nod there for you folks there. I am a mouthful. I started the Space Cadet Sports experience, or podcast, I guess you could say, with a new and refreshing perspective of actually liking the Houston Astros and being a fan of them. The media tends to always be negative because, they don't like the Astros, or they're doom and gloom because, let's be honest, clickbait works. You sell more with hate than you do with love nowadays. So this is the home for people that love Houston Astros. We try to love our Astros here without depending on hot takes or reactionary silliness, but still trying to be honest and not just have a bunch of homer takes here. Keyword being try. Welcome. We're recording here in sunny Los Angeles. We have the AC cranking. Carla the dog is here. I'm joined as always by my co-host and co-producer, the Ross to my Frasier. She's here laying in this I was going to say the sun, but she's indoors. She's laying under the AC. Like Rob Thomas said, it's a hot one. She may get on mic from time to time. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing the Red Sox series that ended earlier today. Just currently, Joe Espada wrapped up his press conference, and I took off my press fedora hat that I put on when I'm pretending to be a journalist here, and fired up the iPad to get the podcast started here. We're going to look at that series today. We're also going to look at some of the roster moves and the upcoming roster moves, the return of Justin Verlander and Alex Bregman. We're also going to look at Joe Espada resting some of the squad, checking in with the AL West race, Astros playoff hopes / is that panic meter moving? And we're also going to go ahead and look ahead to the next series versus the Orioles. So it's kind of a jam-packed podcast for today, but don't worry, I will get us through it. I will shepherd us through the storm here. It was a tough series. It was a tough game. The Astros dropped today's game 4-1 against the Red Sox in the matinee game, but we'll get to that. First, I want to shout out the Substack that I mentioned earlier. It would be in my best interest to shout this out a couple more times a podcast, just so you know that it exists. It is out there. It's where you get all of this good Space Cadet Sports podcast. Go to my Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can put your email address into that little field. You can be a subscriber for free. You get every post, every article, every meme, every podcast delivered straight to your email box for free. So go check that out, spacecadetsports.substack.com. So let's get ahead. Let's get ahead. Let's move ahead. Let's roll around. I don't know what metaphor I'm trying to say exactly right now, but let's move ahead to the Astros versus Red Sox series that we're going to recap today. We're going to recap all three of those games. But if you do want to go ahead and check out that Substack, or if you're currently doing it, you can see that I kind of had a quick game recap on the first game. I had a little meme reaction for the second game, and we're going to go ahead and drop the podcast to recap the third game and the series today. But if you want to go back and check out the memes, check out that little blurb. The first game, the Astros ended up winning 5-4 in incredible fashion. Definitely starting off on a high note, and we're gonna get to today's bummer of a game. But in the first game of the series, Yainer Diaz walked off the game in a haunting moment for Kenley Jansen, who probably never wants to see the Astros ever again in a big moment. Yainer Diaz hit his 14th home run of the season to win this game. You love to see it. You love to see a walk-off. You love to see the Astros win a close one, especially this season when they haven't been as great at it as you would hope they would be. You're happy to see them pull out the Powerade coolers, those little mini coolers, and dunk people with it. Without Bregman in this lineup, it was a bit of a wild lineup card for Astros manager Joe Espada. Caratini, let's go ahead and kind of talk about that lineup real quick. Obviously burying the lead with the last swing of the game from Yainer Diaz being the deciding swing, but let's kind of go over this game a little bit. Joe Espada had an interesting lineup just out of necessity, truly. Victor Caratini started for Yusei Kikuchi as his battery mate, so Victor Caratini started at catcher, and to ensure some power, Espada slotted Yainer Diaz into the game at first base. So I believe this is the second game that Yainer Diaz started at first base. Shea Whitcomb started at third because Alex Bregman was still out in this game, recovering from his sleep injury that he sustained, which, I get it. I'm not trying to throw shade, Breggy. I don't think at this day and age, that I could do anything regularly if I slept on my shoulder wrong. I am getting ready for an upcoming softball game this weekend. I'm doing my stretches. I'm staying limber. I'm getting hydrated. Last year I had a good game. I'm not gonna, it's not that competitive or anything. It's not like anybody remembers but me. But I'm trying to, I remember there was one really long inning that I was out there huffing and puffing, and it was like, I'm not gonna let this happen to me next year. So, I'm just saying, I play one softball game a year. So I'm not trying to throw shade at Alex Bregman, who is a professional athlete recovering from an injury. But because of Breggy's sleep injury, of course, we do want to make a little bit light of it. That's what we've got to have some jokes on the podcast, Breggy. Shea Whitcomb started at third. Trey Cabbage also started in right field. He recently was brought up to rejoin the team. Pedro Leon was sent back down to the minor leagues. Trey Cabbage, the Cabbage Man, back up and immediately finding himself in the starting lineup. That kept all of this kept the DH spot open for Jordan, who started at DH in this game, which left field completely open for Mauricio Dubon, who got the nod there. And it also was an all hands on deck for Espada, who kept everybody's pencils busy in that lineup card. It was a good game. Obviously, the Astros won. They won by 1 point, but Myers and Cabbage struggled throughout the lineup. A lineup that was, relatively able to produce, at least get some hits strung together. Myers and Cabbage put up goose eggs. But Jordan and Caratini got 3-hit games. Overall, the team put 3 hits on the board for this game. That was good enough for 5 runs and 4 RBIs. It only had 2 walks on the game with a high count of 13 strikeouts. Not the highest of the season for sure, but not the ratio you want to see, working 2 walks and 13 strikeouts. That almost cost us. The team was 3-11 with runners in scoring position. I said in the previous podcast that we needed 6 runs to win games in this stretch of games against playoff contenders, and it looks like I'm right. But this game almost caught us. Thankfully, we had good pitching and that Yonder bomb that saved us in the end. The headline of this game truly was not going to be the Yonder bomb, was not going to be the walk-off. Going into the bottom of the ninth, there was tension, with me, and I'm sure with a lot of other fans there at Minute Maid, that the headline of this game might have been the 4 errors that the Astros relinquished in the infield, not picking up Kikuchi, who has aided the Astros to a win in all of his starts since he's been traded from the Canadian Astros. And Kikuchi himself had a great defensive play that saved a run. There was a soft liner hit right back up to the mound, or not all the way to the mound. It was a slow roller. Kikuchi charged at the slow roller, picked up the ball with his glove, and simultaneously the runner from third was sprinting home. Kikuchi flipped the ball to Caratini perfectly. Caratini got the tag on the runner, got the out, and saved the Astros a run, which obviously would have really cost them if Kikuchi didn't have that defensive play. So Kikuchi's out there, under all of the allegations, under all of the anger that Astros fans have had against his trade. He's out there picking himself up on defense, and the defense is laying him out to dry. It was a tough game for Kikuchi with those 4 errors. However, he was able to sustain those problems and end up giving a winning effort for the Houston Astros. On this game, Yusei Kikuchi pitched 5 2/3 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 runs. Only one of those runs was earned, giving up only 1 walk, picking up 7 strikeouts, and giving up a home run in this game. Outside of that home run, truly, Kikuchi was not on the hook for those runs, just some bad defense. And it's tough. The last Kikuchi outing, he didn't get to 6 innings because of a Jose Altuve error. So hopefully, the Astros will be able to pick up Kikuchi with some better defense moving forward. After Kikuchi was brought out in the 6th inning, Taylor Scott was brought in. He finished up that inning and pitched the next, ending up going 1 1/3 of an inning with 1 hit, 1 earned run. Pardon me. And 1 strikeout and 1 home run given up. It was tough to see Scott give up that home run. It felt so much bigger in the moment. It didn't feel. It felt like these Red Sox. I said. After the Red Sox series that we played, when we were coming back to play the Red Sox here at home, that this team was going to be in for a fight. They're a scrappy team. They're a great offensive team. We showed them up at home with that sweep, so I knew that they would come in looking for a fight. So it just felt like, this team is not giving up easily. Taylor Scott, however, gave way to Caleb Ferguson, who we all know makes me feel a little shaky on the insides. He gives me butterflies in my stomach, but not for the good reason. It's not a good thing. But Caleb Ferguson came in here. He did fairly well, for all the shade that I've been throwing at Ferguson. Truly, Caleb Ferguson did do well. He pitched an inning, got 2 strikeouts here, was able to set the Astros up for a hater inning in the 9th that obviously led to a good 1-2-3 ninth. Ferguson got a 1-2-3 8th as well, I should say. So for all that, the shakiness that I've been saying Caleb Ferguson has been making me feel lately, he really came out and gave a good performance, handed the ball over to Hader, and set the Astros up for a win here. So you'd love to see that. It truly was a wonderful feeling game, coming back from behind, getting this win here. I think these are the type of teams that we need to show that we can battle. So this was not only a good win but a great momentum win, and that led into game 2, where unfortunately the Astros lost 5-6. It really feels like it's Duran's villain debut here. I do not like Jaron Duran. I don't like this cat. He doesn't give me good vibes. Not just because of the press that's been surrounding him this past couple weeks, but he's just, when you have those players that find success and they have celebrations and they just rub you the wrong way, this guy just rubs me the wrong way. I just do not like this dude. So it was really hard to see him have a great game against the Astros and be able to flex. It's just all that flexing, all that. It just seems like he's leaning in to his villain era. And I mean, I get, I get that you kind of have to kind of throw it back in the crowd's face when people are booing you, but I mean, people are booing you right now for a reason that's a little bit bigger than baseball. So him throwing stuff back in the crowd's face, and I know not everybody at Minute Maid is booing him for his unfortunate I want to say off the field stuff, but he did unfortunate slurs on the field. So he's getting some boos for that too. I know not everybody's booing him for that. They're booing him for what he is doing currently to them on the field. But it just rubs me the wrong way. I feel like he kind of like coming back from a suspension like that, saying that you're trying to be better. Like maybe just keep your head down for a little bit, bro. Maybe look like you're trying to do the work. I'm trying to say that we're giving you the benefit of the doubt, but just kind of coming back and kind of being a jerk about things doesn't win you any confidence in my book. But anyway, moving on. We don't need to get back on my soapbox. You can go back to that episode, that off day goof off. I go on a complete rant there. You can go back and either love me or hate me for that rant. But Blanco ran out of steam in this game, folks. It was tough to see. The Astros, the Astros hit a pair of homers, but not when it would have helped the most. Obviously, some solo shots. You'd love to see it. You want to see them have that power. They need to flex that power more than ever right now, especially with Tucker not really having a timeline for returning the team, with Bregman taking time off, with Jordan and Altuve taking scheduled days off, but taking some rest days here and there. You need the Astros to hit the long ball. Unfortunately, it just was not in the right situations in this game. The Astros gave their best effort, but it fell short. It was not enough to beat the Red Sox, and the Red Sox ended up taking this game. I said, once again, I said we needed 6 runs. The Red Sox got 6 runs. We weren't able to compete with that high run total. Blanco in this game ended up pitching 3 2/3 of an inning, giving up 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 of them earned, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Obviously having a little bit of location issue with those 4 walks. Obviously really running into trouble with this lineup that is very heavily left-handed, but also Blanco has struggled famously this season the first time through the lineup and gets better as he goes. But currently, with him being a little more, kind of like a little more worn out than we're used to seeing him on this season. The first time through the lineup, he's taking a whole lot more pitches than he's used to. That pitch count is running up really high. He's finding himself in very stressful situations early. And yeah, if he can lower those walks, I think Blanco could extend those outings just a little bit better. Obviously, in this game, he pitched 84 pitches into the 4th inning. We need to have that pitch count lower. I think with extra time off with the 6-man rotation, we're hoping that Blanco can find more success. However, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think people need to start panicking. We have a very, very great rotation right now. Blanco is a converted bullpen arm. Worse come to worse, Ronel Blanco can slot into the bullpen, and we can find some success and find some ways to use Blanco towards the end of the season and hopefully into a playoff run. After Blanco was out in the fourth inning, Brian King, rookie lefty, came in and he finished the inning and pitched into the next. Ended up going 1 1/3 of an inning with one walk and one strikeout. King once again doing well on his season. Obviously giving up the walk, pitching wasn't great, but pitching into a second inning, stretching that out, and picking up a strikeout is something that's really good to see. He gave way to Caleb Ferguson, who once again had another shaky outing. He pitched just one inning here, but he gave up a hit, gave up a walk. He did get a strikeout, though, and was able to get out of the inning without giving up any runs, but it just felt really shaky. So Ferguson got one game out of my kind of shaky doghouse, and he's kind of right back in it. I think truly there's so many lefties on the Red Sox and on a lot of these teams that I think he was here for all those extra lefties. But out of the two right now, I really think King is the one that I would save over the two if you're just carrying one lefty arm for the playoffs. But there's plenty of season left. We traded for Ferguson, so I do not think there's a situation in which Ferguson does not maintain his roster spot at least to the end of the regular season. But we will see. After Ferg left, Caleb Ort, Big Shady, came in. He pitched 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, 1 run, one of them earned. It was off of a home run, and he picked up 2 strikeouts in this game. However, with that home run, he also picked up the loss, going 1-1 on the season. After Ort pitched his 2 innings, Sean Dubin came in. He pitched an inning, giving up a hit and 2 walks. So definitely feeling a little shaky there from Dubin as well. It was an admirable performance from the pitching staff, from a tired pitcher against one of the most formidable offenses in baseball. Ronell gave it his all, but he was graciously pulled early in the bullpen, and middle relief gang did the rest. Ortwell wears the L with that tough homer given up to Duran late, but Ort is shaping up not only to be what general manager Dana Brown was hoping Dylan Coleman could be, but Ort is making a case to pitch late innings and cover some of Presley's innings while Presley is on the 15-day IL. Plus, he can give you multiple innings, which is paramount with the 6-man rotation. We wanted more from this pitching staff in this game, but overall it was a tough one that was winnable with just one less pitching mistake or one more timely hit. A frustrating one for sure. And that leads into another frustrating game today. Today's matinee, the Astros lost 4-1. A very bittersweet game because while the Astros lost, there was a lot of positives surrounding it. Call me Bradley Cooper because I'm looking for my silver linings right now. It was JV Day today. So it was a JV Day. JV is back. He looks good too. Carla is stretching. Carla's looking at me. She heard JV. She heard JV is back. She is excited. But however, JV was hit by the Boston Red Sox quick strike offense in this game. Like they've done this so well this series. It's something that they've done all season, I'm sure, but this series they got very aggressive hitting and very aggressive base running. Duran really footed out a double. He's been doing this. He did this a couple times against Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick, he was definitely charging the ball. Got the throw in quick, but he just kind of catching people sleeping a bit. Both Chas and Jake Myers have had their arms routinely tested in this series. And now I can see why Mauricio Dubon is considered the best arm in the outfield. Maybe they should have had Mauricio Dubon, Justin Verlander's personal center fielder, out there in the game. But JV still got some strikeouts and get some outs in the first, only relinquishing 1 run in that first inning. It was tough seeing JV get kind of hit like that, but he was able to steady the ship going forward. And not to be outshined on his return day, Alex Bregman also homered in the first inning as the leadoff man, back his first bat back from his short injury stint. Breggy hit a home run out of the DH role in the leadoff position because Jose Altuve was scheduled for a rest day today. I think, let's see, the we're going to kind of keep moving on offense a little bit here because there wasn't a lot of offense for the Houston Astros. Obviously, that Breggy home run was the highlight of it. We're going to go and just skip ahead to the bottom of the seventh real quick. I'm saying we're looking for silver linings. This is obviously, we dropped a series to the Boston Red Sox. That's not great. We swept them earlier, so it kind of makes it feel a little bit better, but we did not want to drop this series. We have not been in a position where losing series has been an option. So moving forward, this makes the series against the Orioles and the Phillies much more pressing. Now we're in a position where we're not feeling the momentum, we're feeling the pressure to win. But the Astros don't feel the stuff as hard as we feel it as fans, and I think this is telling here. At the bottom of the seventh, the at-bats, that I'm asking for in the bottom of the lineup really started to showcase themselves there. I know John Singleton struck out. He struck out looking against at a pitch that was really dotted up down and in against John Singleton. That is not the area that he likes to swing at. It really looked like it could have potentially been a little outside. I think that in the bottom of the lineup, for guys like John Singleton, for guys that you're kind of looking for like power or nothing, you don't want him to ground into a double play in the situation. I'm glad that he was patient. I'm glad he took the pitch. It really sucked that it was a strikeout looking, but I love those patient at-bats that John Singleton gives us. It didn't help, obviously, striking out looking, but I like that he was just waiting for his pitch. He was waiting for his mistake to drive. Unfortunately, wasn't the result we were looking for, but the type of at-bat that I was hoping for. Then Trey Cabbage got pinch hit. Next, he took a walk on a full count, loading the bases for Bregman. So while Singleton struck out and Cabbage just got a walk, those were still great at-bats that you want to see the Astros bottom of the lineups type guys give the Astros going forward. Passing the baton over to Bregman and to Yordan Alvarez, who are more likely going to be able to hit for power than they are. If it isn't a pitch that you can hit for power, then just let it go. And as you work towards a full count, then protect the plate more as you go. Unfortunately, in the bottom of the seventh, Bregman popped up and Yordan struck out, and it was the angriest I've seen Yordan in quite some time. He knew that was the moment, just like I knew that was the moment. I was like, this is a game moment right here. Sure, we have some more outs to work with, but this bases loaded situation is where we needed to get some offense going. Yeah, Yordan knew it. I knew it. Unfortunately, strikeout was not what we needed. The Astros ended up having zero offense going forward, and that kind of felt like the game. Another little shout out here is I want to shout out Mauricio Dubon. Outside of Bregman's home run, he's the only person that got an extra base hit. He got a double. Doobie has had his struggles a little bit this past month, but it looks like he is turning it around. He's able to find some hits again, and he's getting extra base hits. I believe he's got I didn't write it down, but I believe he has over 20 doubles on the season. So you'd love to see that from Mauricio Dubon. We need some more offensive production in the bottom of the lineup, so it's good to see that he's getting going again. We still need some slugging. We still need some power. Unfortunately, that's not what Mauricio Dubon offers this team regularly. That's why we're getting looking at our corner outfielders being rotated around so much. We'll get to that a little later. But let's get to the finish off this game, talking about the pitching here. Let's look at the stats from the pitchers. Justin Verlander went... Justin Verlander ended up going 5 innings. I'm worried I got my stats wrong here, so apologies. Yeah, this looks correct. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Verlander went 5 innings. He gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. But one huge positive note to go on. He definitely got stronger as he went on in the game. He retired the last 10 batters straight. So Verlander looks like he's ready to go. We were hoping that Verlander would come back and slot into that pitching rotation perfectly. It looks like he's ready to take this team, put him on his back, and give the best Verlandian performance that he can do. Welcome back, Mr. Kate Upton. We're so happy you're back, JV. Unfortunately, this was not a winning effort for Verlander here. After his 5 innings, King came in the 6th, and he pitched 1 inning, picking up 3 strikeouts. Brian King really looks great. I'm very happy with this guy being on our team, and I'm hoping that he can keep producing the way that he's been producing, throwing strikes, getting strikeouts, and being a great lefty arm out of the pen. After Brian King, we had Taylor Scott, another guy. These two guys have truly had great seasons so far. Taylor Scott has a much larger sample size. If you go on Baseball Savant and you look up Taylor Scott, it's just all red. He's performing way above average. However, on this game, he definitely kind of got knocked a little bit back down to the norm here. He ended up going 2 innings, though. 2 innings pitched with 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run. He did give up 2 walks, which definitely did not help there, and got 1 strikeout. He's definitely looking a little less sharp than he has been in the past. It's something that I've mentioned. Hopefully, we can get more rest for Scott. I think for a while there was a potential, I think, that Martinez could come back up and give Scott a little bit of time, maybe in the minors if he still has an option. I believe he does. I don't have that in front of me. I didn't write that down, but yeah, I'm thinking, maybe they would give Scott a little bit of rest like they gave Martinez, but Martinez had a rough game today too. After Scott pitched his 2 innings, Martinez came in, he pitched an inning, gave up a hit. That was a home run, kind of really deep to right field there. Martinez definitely does look really good. He just doesn't look as formidable as Taylor Scott has looked on the season. It was a tough game. You would take the Astros bullpen over the Red Sox bullpen any day of the week, but you have to give it to the Red Sox bullpen because they performed and the Astros dropped this game. They were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position with just 1 RBI. They got 8 hits and 9 strikeouts. After the game, manager Joe Espada said it was just, quote, just one of those days, end quote. They couldn't get the big hit but a thing that he mentioned in the press conference that kind of brought me back down to earth was like, yeah, they couldn't get the big hit, but they've been getting the big hit for the last couple of weeks. So this is just how it goes sometimes. It's very frustrating because you feel like in a game like this where the Red Sox only scored 4 runs, the Astros, there's plenty of opportunities against that bullpen, against their pitchers that have been struggling, where I've thought, okay, they're about to break the game open here. This is where the runs start pouring in. But they just couldn't find the offense. And this was a game, all it took was 5 runs to win. I've been saying like they needed 6. The Red Sox came in, they performed valiantly. They won the series, but they did not have the offensive performance that I thought they were going to have. The Astros pitching did their job. Unfortunately for the series, I feel like the fingers are pointed at the Astros offense, and particularly the Astros defense. It really didn't come around to bite them in the end, but that defense was very suspect as well. Moving forward, we're looking at the AL West, the AL West race here. The Astros are 68-58 currently, with 4.5 games ahead of the Mariners. As of the recording of this podcast, the Rangers and the Pirates are currently tied at 0-0 in the 9th inning. And I think, the Mariners played the Dodgers later tonight, which for the first time in so long, I'm in Los Angeles cheering on the Dodgers, and it feels terrible. But, we're strange bedfellows, We definitely want those Mariners to lose, so we're cheering the Dodgers on in this house tonight. One positive thing to look at is the Astros are 7-3 in their last 10 games. and the Mariners and the Rangers are both 3-7 in their last 10 games. So the Astros are definitely trending upwards, and the Mariners and the Rangers are trending downwards. If the Astros can just keep this momentum and turn the page quickly and not stress too much about losing these 2 games, I think they're going to be fine. However, the Orioles and the Phillies are not going to be pushovers. These are going to be some tough battles just as much as these were tough battles against the Red Sox. I think that's why Espada has been resting the starters so much. The White Sox series presented an opportunity where we were playing, talent that is not on the same level as the talent going forward with the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Phillies. So I think Espada saw this as an opportunity for him to rest some guys that needed a rest. Obviously, with JV joining the team, the pitchers are hopefully going to get a lot more rest, but he was looking for some time off for some of his position players. Bregman getting extended time off, Jordan getting a day of rest versus the White Sox. Tuve rested in today's game. Singleton getting more bench time. It's not just a lefty-righty situation where he starts at first for the righties. Espada's playing the young guns. Caratini is catching Arrighetti, Kikuchi, and now JV. So, Diaz is getting some more time at DH and resting his knees a little bit. Presley, who hasn't been looking sharp, is on the IL. He's been leaning harder on the middle relief arms. You're seeing more Ort. You're seeing more King. You're seeing more Ferguson. It's not just Taylor Scott 5 days a week. Pena maybe is the only guy that's being leaned on right now. It's a very long season, and this team has high playoff hopes. So they're doing the very confident thing of putting their chips in the middle of the table and resting some of their guys, and having the confidence and hopes that they can get these guys rest now so that they can perform more later. You love to see it. They're confident in this team going forward in the playoffs, so we have to be confident just as well. Looking at some roster notes here, Caleb Ort is currently on paternity leave. Seth Martinez is a likely candidate to move back down unless coaches, maybe feel like he can go multiple innings instead of Dubin, who's kind of been in that Brandon Bielak mop-up role since Brandon Bielak's been DFA'd. Maybe they could go with Martinez's magic over Dubin, but I'm thinking that once Caleb Ort is back from paternity leave, the odd man out is probably going to be Seth Martinez. But let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to be the corresponding roster move when Caleb Ort rejoins the team? Another thing of note is that Ben Gamel had been claimed off the waivers. He is an outfielder that had played for the Mets this season. He is 5-23 for the Mets this season. He has a career batting average of .252 with 40 home runs and 200 RBIs with a .715 OPS and about 2,000 at-bats, just under 2,000 at-bats there. Echoing how I'm saying Espada is desperately looking for slugging from the corner outfielders. But this is also not the most promising thing of Kyle Tucker coming back this month. If we're picking up some outfielders off of waivers, it's saying that we don't have the confidence in Pedro Leon contributing this season. It's saying that we're unsure of Trey Cabbage actually finding that big swing. It is saying that perhaps Chas McCormick might not be able to put it together this season. I think this is a move that is necessary. I'm glad they're looking for some help, but it doesn't give me confidence that Tucker is coming back by this month. We will see. Another roster move of note, Hector Neris, Astros legend Hector Neris was DFA'd by the Chicago Cubs to lead to some speculation of a return home for Hector. But with JV returning and the Astros doing a six-man rotation, I'm thinking it is not in the cards for return home for Hector. If adding an arm in the bullpen is happening, I'm thinking it's a long relief type, maybe somebody that could potentially get you 2 innings or more than 1 inning. And on top of it, they did do a waiver wire ad. It was Ben Gamel. So I don't think that they are prioritizing getting Hector back, and definitely not a priority for him off the waivers. I'm thinking it would just make sense for Heart Attack Hector to join the New York Mets. The reason why is because Ryan Stanek, or I should say Phil Maton and Ryan Stanek are both with the New York Mets now. So I think it would just be hilarious if all three pitchers that the Astros fans wanted to re-sign out of the bullpen all ended on the Mets. I love those three guys, but I am not of the belief that we should have signed those three guys to help our bullpen situation this season. Hector Neris was the guy out of the three that I would probably feel more confident signing. However, he ended up signing a 1-year, $9 million contract with the Chicago Cubs, and despite pitching pretty darn well for the Chicago Cubs, he ended up getting DFA'd. I do think if we had Hector this season, it would have helped out in the 7th and 8th inning earlier in the year with a bunch of struggles. Heart Attack Hector loved putting some people on the base pads and giving us some heart palpitations. But he is a great player, and I hope he finds a home. I just don't think that it is going to be with the Astros this season. But I honestly think it could be with the Mets. We will see. Let's go ahead and move forward to the Orioles preview. The Orioles preview, there's going to be a lot of TBDs right now. When I looked up the starting pitchers, for the Houston Astros at least, there's not a lot of things broadcast, but I'll tell you who is next in the rotation, of course. So the Orioles, we're going into Baltimore for a 4-game series. Sorry, 1 second. Let me pull up my notes. All right. So in game 1, the Astros are sending up TBD, which in line I believe is going to be spaghetti. So perhaps it's going to be spaghetti time in the first game in Baltimore there. He will be pitching against Corbin Burnes, who is obviously a great pitcher. But maybe Corbin Burnes has been trending down lately. The last 30 days versus last 10 days versus last 7 or so. His last start numbers have been going in a bad way up into a rough outing against the Boston Red Sox for his last start. He went 10 hits in 4 innings against the Boston Red Sox in his previous start. He is 12-5 on the season with a 3.10 ERA and a 1.11 WHIP. However, his ERA in the last 30 days, 3.10. His ERA in the last 15 days, 3.54. His ERA in the last 7 days, 5.27. So maybe he's showing a little wear and tear. Maybe we can get him if he isn't as sharp as he normally is. We'll see. In game 2, it's the Astros sending up TBD again, but in this game we're thinking Diesel. Hunter Brown is probably going to be in line for this game. He's going to be going up against 24-year-old left-hander Cade Povich, who is 1-6 with a 5.77 ERA, 43 2/3 inning pitched, 31 strikeouts, and a 158 whip on his rookie season. This kid was a 2021 draft pick. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of experience under his belt. So we're hoping that this is the type of left-handed pitcher that the Astros can capitalize and do some damage and get some hits and power hits off of, as opposed to a guy that they're going to make look like a Cy Young winner. In game 3, it's most likely going to be La Grasa. It's obviously saying TBD right now, but we're thinking Fromber will probably go there if they're going in order. He's going to be going up against a vet comeback story, Albert Suarez, who is 6-4 with a 3.18 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP. So he's putting together a decent season for himself. We'll see how. We'll see who is going up against him, but we'll see how La Grasa fares in that game, because that's what we think. In Game 4, the highly touted matchup of TBD versus TBD. The Astros, if going in order, will go with Yusei, having a Kikuchi day. And we'll see what the Orioles do in that game. It's definitely something that as we get closer, we'll see who the pitchers are and what rotation the Astros are going with, but I'm pretty sure they're going to go with that order. The keys to success against the Baltimore Orioles is honestly going to be consistent offense that keeps finding ways to score runs, hopefully through long balls, because, I honestly think we need it. I think that's the best way for this team to score this season. They haven't done too well. They focused on more aggressive base running. There's been some mixed results with that. They've tried to do some small ball, lots of sack flies, some sack bunts. Not the most successful with that. And moving station to station, right now the bottom of the lineup is just not executing hits and working walks quite as well as they should in order for a station-to-station offense happen. So I think right now we need to see some power bats. We need to see some return to power for this offense to get going. And obviously, just a little side note, a focus on defense. I'm not saying this directly to the players. Obviously, that would be insane. It sounds like I am. I'm being facetious. But obviously, the Astros do need to focus on defense, and not just the rookies, not just the new guys. There's been too many errors on this season. There's been a lot of bad bounces. There's been a lot of plays that just eat you up, and there's nothing you can do. But I'm hoping the Astros can find some more focus and find less errors and go back to the golden era of Houston Astros baseball, where they are like the best in the league at defense. And on pitching, the Astros need to prove that this six-man rotation provides the extra rest needed by going deep into games. Yeah, quality starts are so needed right now because this short-staffed bullpen is already going to be a little overworked going into this series. At 30 pitchers used on the season, how many do you think the Astros are going to use before the end of the season? Should we set the over-under at 35? You let me know what you think. How many Astros pitchers will be needed to make this season work? At the end of the day, the six-man rotation is going to need to get deep into games to give that bullpen a little bit of rest. We'll see how they do. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Thank you so much, dear listener, for listening to this podcast. We definitely appreciate you very much here at the pod. Please, wherever you're listening to this on, like, rate, review, smash all the buttons, subscribe, share, all those things. We really are a small podcast. We're just starting. This is our first season. So anything you do to share this podcast, to give us a rating, to help us grow is greatly appreciated. If you would be so kind, go check out my Substack. That's where all of the Astros content can be found. We're also ramping up some Houston Texans content as well. We will be checking in with the Texans this season. Go to the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can put in your email and get every post, every meme, every podcast emailed directly to you for free. Go check that out. Or if you're like me, you're a phone and iPad guy, you can download this Substack app. Search Space Cadet Sports. You see the little orange astronaut pop up. That's me. Subscribe to that. Click the link that you want notifications instead of emails, and you don't get emails. You get notifications pop up every time I do a post, and it's so much more fun. I like that experience more. Obviously, that's just what I do. I like mobile apps more. So to each his own, but definitely go check that out. If you want to reach out to me on social media to let me know what you think of the podcast, how you think we can improve that constructive criticism, definitely send some my way. Why not? Let me know at Paul Salazar JR on social media, on all social media platforms. I'm definitely active on all the cool ones. Let me know what you think of the pod. Let me know what you think of the Astros bullpen, or who you think is going to be making room when Caleb Ort gets back. Thank you so much for listening again. Honestly, couldn't do it without y'all. So I appreciate everybody, family members, strangers, and everybody out there helping support this podcast. Thank you so very, very much. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, son. And as always, vamos Astros.